Welcome back to the College Basketball FTN Betting Show. I'm your host, Mike Randle. You can follow me on Twitter at Randle Rant. We are back, folks. Wild card weekend. It was fantastic. I get that, but a lot of interesting games on the hardwood. We will come at it from a volume-based play today, going through a ton of games. We're going to come today. We're going to be here tomorrow, and we're going to be here on Saturday. So we'll give you 3 days this week. A lot of interesting things to talk about. It's a tricky slate. We saw some comments already in the chat that this is a very interesting slate here. And I'm curious to hear what you guys are going to say. Very intrigued. Taylor, I agree. I think there are some plays. I think there are some that are sort of up and down. There's some that we can focus on. We have a couple for you here. And, of course, put your comments in there, and we will get the chat going as well. It's been very successful this year. We're up over 33 units. Had a good day yesterday. Hope to build that momentum here. Here we go, folks. Let's get into today's slate. Well, this first game I put out, you're not going to be surprised. The disrespect for Iowa State in the market just continues, folks. So the first one we're going with here is Iowa State -2.5 versus Texas. And I'm not sure why they continue to just disrespect Iowa State. And that's fine. They can keep doing it. But all Iowa State does is win, and they win big. They are 4-1 in the Big 12 with a tough 2-point loss at Kansas. The only argument you have here is you're going to tell me it's a letdown spot. I think it's a get-right spot. This is a team that they're going to look at it and say they should be 5-0 and atop the Big 12 conference themselves. And you know my thoughts on Texas. Texas played TCU. They were down. They needed a big comeback to beat them there. Texas Tech, they were playing at home. They were losing that game. They needed a big comeback to come back there. They gave up 116 points to Kansas State. They have turned almost into more of an offensive team when their entire sort of mantra and they were entire built were around the fact that they are going to be a defensive-minded team. So tonight, we're going on the road. Hilton Magic is always very, very tough. I still don't trust this Texas offense. They still struggle from three-point range. They are top 10 in the country at two-point efficiency inside the arc. They're shooting 57%. But you have an Iowa State team with a Sunni inside. That's great. That's going to force turnovers. And most importantly, I don't see the comeback tonight for a Texas team if they get down. Not at Hilton Magic, not on the road. This line is available. I got it last night at 2.5. You're seeing big money come in on Texas. But as we've learned over the last couple days, and we've seen this over the last few weeks, sometimes the public is right. Sometimes the sharps are right. Do your own handicapping. I remember Alabama, Arkansas. We talked about that. Alabama on the road, Arkansas, money poured in on Arkansas. Alabama won comfortably. I believe in Iowa State. I don't think a Texas team without their head coach and Chris Beard that's in transition. Beard has been fired. They're on the road. Their defense is not nearly as good as it was at the beginning of the year. Now they're trying to outscore people. They're going on the road against Iowa State, one of the top defensive teams in the country. A fantastic job by TJ Elsenberger, number 1 in the country in defensive turnover percentage. Don't like it. A Sunni inside, guard play outside, big shots from 3, and a lack of belief in Texas's offense. We are going with Iowa State laying the small number to start. Next game we're going to. I don't like Davidson, and I think Dayton is ready to roll here. Dayton has battled through adversity this entire year, struggling up and down when they've lost their guards outside. And they're coming off a game. They had won in a row, 7 straight games. I saw them against Fordham. They dominated. Deron Holmes was incredible. Then they played a tough VCU team, and VCU beat them at home by 1, a huge win for VCU. Now here comes Davidson. This is a Dayton team that ranks top 20 in the country in defensive efficiency. This is a Dayton team that ranks top 6 in the country in three-point defense, 27.3%. They are now facing a Davidson team that is inconsistent from outside, that struggles to score from the inside, and has been very fortunate, Davidson. The teams are only shooting 67% from the free throw line against them. They don't hit the boards well. They're going to be one and done. Davidson is going to struggle. They're not going to get second chances on the road. And this is a Dayton team under Anthony Grant that struggled early in the year, lost 4 to 5. They were 3-4. But since then, they've gone 9-2. They're coming off a loss to VCU. They're home now against a Davidson team. Davidson has lost 3 in a row. They've lost 4 or 5. They lost away at George Mason by 2, and they were scalding hot from the outside to start that game. They're not going to repeat that tonight. They lost at home to Richmond. They lost by 17 away to VCU, and I think tonight is a very similar game. So even though it's a big number, it's a Dayton team that's home. It's a Dayton team that I think is better defensively, that's going to control the boards, and I do not trust Davidson at all. So give me Dayton minus 10.5 to start that game as well. You knew this one was coming. Belmont and Murray State. Now, Murray State got us there in the last game with a tricky win. We were fading Murray State, but they were able to get to us, and I don't think they're going to do it again tonight. Murray State with a big win over Illinois Chicago at home on Sunday. Now the quick turnaround, they go on the road to Belmont. This is still a Murray State team that had lost 4 of their last 6 prior games. This is a Murray State team that when they have played on the road this year, here are the following results. Valpo on the road away, went to overtime, won that game. Bellarmine away, lost by 11. Middle Tennessee State away, lost by 16. Evansville away, they won. Congratulations. Evansville, worst team in Missouri Valley. Drake away, lost by 18. Northern Iowa, lost by 8 away. And now they go against Belmont. Belmont is flying high. Belmont is 6-2 now in the Missouri Valley. They lost to Illinois State away, their first road game, and they lost to Selden, Illinois away. But when they're home, they are very good. Sanford, good Sanford team, beat by 23. Bradley, always tough, won that game by 3. Missouri State, also solid this year, won that game by 13. Northern Iowa won that game by 4. They are home here against an inferior Murray State team. They are number 4 in the country in three-point shooting, shooting over 40% from beyond the arc. Murray State is going to turn the ball over. Belmont will take advantage. They will get enough here to get by this team. We are going with Belmont -5 at home against Murray State. Another game, I just did my prize picks video talking about Baylor and Texas Tech. I think these are 2 teams going in the wrong direction. A lot of people are on Texas Tech tonight because they're talking about how they think Texas Tech is going to turn it around. They're talking about how Texas Tech is desperate. They have to get a win. If you look at the Big 12 conference standings, West Virginia and Texas Tech are combined 0-10 in the Big 12. Think about that. That's how tough this conference is. So Texas Tech 0-5, West Virginia 0-5. So Texas Tech being home right here, people think that they're going to get the win. I do not. They've lost 5 games in a row, Texas Tech. They have not looked great in any of those games. They lost to Iowa State by 34 away. They lost a tough game at home to Oklahoma, who is not nearly as good as Baylor. And they are catching a Baylor team that is on the rise, a Baylor team that is healthy now under Scott Drew. Yes, they lost those 3 games in a row, Iowa State, TCU, Kansas State, but the three-point shooting is coming. Adam Flagler has been fantastic. Freshman Keontae George, who's going to be in the league next year, has been great, and the defense is getting solid. Big win away at West Virginia by 5. Huge win at home by 16 over a good defensive Oklahoma State team. And now they're going on the road to Texas Tech. And I have no problem in this game. They are getting 2.5 points. I think they're going to win the game outright. If you want to go money line, we are going with Baylor plus 2.5 against Texas Tech on the road. The argument here is narrative-based. Is Fardar's IMAC going to play effectively? I doubt it. The Baylor defense is suffocating. The zone is difficult for a Texas Tech team that is not clicking on offense and is not playing anywhere near the defense. Again, lack of an identity. We're going with Baylor in this game, who I think has turned a corner and is going to be very, very tough down the stretch here for Scott Drew, as they always are. Next game up, Air Force versus Wyoming. People are sleeping on the service academies. Army has been very hot. They've done well for us here, and now they're sleeping on Air Force. All Air Force has done over their last 2 games is beat a Colorado State team away in overtime, never easy, and beat Fresno State, a solid team, away. They defend the three-pointer well. This is still a Wyoming team that is operating without their top player, no Graham Ike inside. You had a situation where Hunter Maldonado was injured. He was there. He came back. This team has been very not anywhere near as we thought they were going to be under Jeff Linder. Jeff Linder did a fantastic job last year, 25-9 for Wyoming, got them to the tournament, played well. They have just been hit with the injury bug, and they have lost 7 straight games. They are 0-5 in the Mount West. People don't buy into Air Force. That's fine, but this is not a Wyoming team that is clicking and playing well. Lost at home to Boise State big by 17. Lost away at Utah State by 20. Not being competitive. Even the game in New Mexico, when they played New Mexico at home, they still could not get a win. Air Force is underrated. Everyone thinks that Wyoming's going to come in and destroy them. I think Air Force is going to shoot great from 3. I think their offense is hot. They have been very competitive against tough teams like Montana this year. I like this Air Force team. I have no trouble laying the points, and I think the majority of people are not going to lay the points because they're going to say that it's a Wyoming bounce back. I get it. Moving on here, a couple of the games I want to talk about. Now, these are not my top plays, but I think they're worth discussing. Tulane struggles on the boards, so this is a very tricky play. But Tulane has been clicking and playing very, very well of late. So I will take the 9.5 points with Tulane against Houston. Again, concerned here because Houston always plays Tulane well and they destroy them on the boards. They're 17-1. But if you look at the way Houston has played over the last couple of games, they're hitting a little bit of a slump here. UCF at home, they only won by 6, no cover. Beat SMU home, destroyed them. Very well done. But SMU doesn't have anywhere near the offense that Tulane has. Cincinnati away, that game was closer than you would realize. Cincinnati was hanging around. They won that by 13. And then South Florida team with really struggles on offense and limited on offense with their roster. They won that game by 7. They play great defense. They defend the 3-point arc. I get that. But the Green Wave make threes under Ron Hunter. They're hot. They're 5-1. This is a big game for them. This game being home, I think, is a big, big deal. They're going to have to be physical. They're going to have to battle. But this Tulane team has been targeting this year. They are number 1 in the country in minutes continuity, over 80% of the minutes returned from last year. Like Ron Hunter, like this veteran team. Again, Houston could bang them and just get those boards and run away and hide. If this game was home, a little bit iffy. Houston, that is. But since it's at Tulane, 9.5, you get it to 10. I will take that in this spot as well. I would stay away from this game. If I have to, I'll take Mississippi State. But, which is the real Tennessee team? Is the Tennessee team that we've seen that has dominated and played incredibly well, is that the team that we really know? Or is it the team that just lost to Kentucky at home, which was inexcusable with no Severe Wheeler as point guard, and got blown out by Colorado? Little iffy on this one. I like Tulu Smith. I like Chris Jans. I like their defense. They do struggle from the perimeter outside Mississippi State, but 6.5 is right around that number. And I put that in our Discord recently. We talked about this 4, 5, 6. When you're getting points as a home conference dog over the last few years, hitting about 56% on that, I will take the 6.5 here with Mississippi State as well. Kansas State, a lot to say about this game, and we've talked about this several times, but it's worth repeating. Bill Self is just great in these spots in the Big 12 as a road play. Self is 30-22, 58% against the spread in the last 8 years as a road favorite in conference, including winning 4 of the last 5 outright and covering. He's only 3-3 in trips to Manhattan, and this is going to be great in Kansas State. They're going to be fired up in the Octagon of Doom. This is the rivalry game. What an incredible job that Kansas State has done under Jerome Tang. But they've also been due for some luck regression. The regression monster is coming for Kansas State, and I think it happens tonight. 1 OT against Nevada on a neutral. 1 OT at home in a big game at home, and 1 OT at Baylor as well. So Kansas State is a team that has been playing really well, that has exceeded expectations, that has been tremendous. But they beat West Virginia in that game at home in overtime, 82-76. They were down 17-3. They have not been perfect, and they look terrible against TCU. Absolutely awful there on that game on the road. I am going with Kansas. I am staying with Bill Self. He has been profitable for us. And in these spots where he's a slight 1 or 2 point favorite on the road, they do very, very well. What games have we seen this year? Throw out the first few games, even though they won them against the spread because he wasn't there because of the suspension. On the road against Missouri, they blitzed them by 28 points. On the road against Texas Tech, 1 point favorite, got the winning cover, and it should have been more because they really had that game in hand most of the time. Away at West Virginia, favored by a point or 2, win by 14. That's what Bill Self does, and I am going with him again here against Kansas State. I'm going to keep riding it. People talk about when you have a hot streak, should you ride it or you find a trend? Should you ride it or go against it? Bill Self gets his team prepared. Kansas State is far exceeding expectations. Kansas State, Jerome Tang, coach, getting everything done. New program, very excited. Keontae Johnson, tremendous. I am going with Kansas here on the road until you prove me otherwise. This team is experienced. He's moved KJ Adams to the 5, doing a very, very good job. Bill Self, we're going with him yet again. I would lean Creighton in this game at Butler. 7 on the road's a lot. 7's on the road's a lot. And I may be one of those Creighton truthers. People making fun of me on social media. How many times are you going to pick Creighton? I just believe in them. And I think when Kalkbrenner's on the floor, they're a better team. Now, depending on the number you got, they did actually cover against Providence at home. They were up big in that game. They won by 6. I got it at 5, but it was probably at 6.5, 7, closer to tip. Butler here. I understand that Butler at home is very tough. I understand that Butler under Thad Matta has been competitive, but this is also a team that's just 3-5 in conference. And the only wins that they've had in conference are Georgetown away, DePaul at home by 8, and Villanova, who is free falling at home. Give me Creighton. Their 3-point shooting's improving. Kalkbrenner inside. They are a different team. I will stay with Creighton, even though it's a big number here. It's a little tricky. Next couple games I like a lot, and they're certainly worth talking about. Notre Dame at home, -5.5 against Florida State. Baba Miller played the star freshman for Florida State. He is now out again indefinitely with an injury. This team is, I just think, headed in the wrong direction. Notre Dame at home can be very good against the spread. They have struggled lately. They lost to Miami at home. They lost BC away, rivalry game. North Carolina, I thought they played close, but they lost that one by 17, lost the cover. They did get a squeaker against Georgia Tech, and they lost to Syracuse. I just think their 3-point shooting, I think the fact that they don't turn the ball over, and I think the fact that Florida State really is a team without a focus. It's almost a lost year, which is really a shame. 5-13, 3-4 for Leonard Hamilton here. I think this is a big shooting night for Notre Dame at home against Florida State. Still a rivalry there. A Florida State team that allows opponents to shoot 37% from three-point range. You're going against a Notre Dame team that shoots 38% and generates almost 40% of their shots from three-point range. So I have a team in Notre Dame who plays well at home, usually covers, competitive, against a Florida State team that is not having a great year under Leonard Hamilton, that had their star freshman Baba Miller come back, who's now out again, who struggles to defend the 3. No, thank you. I will delay the 5.5 points here gladly against Florida State. 8's a lot. 8's a lot for UMass. I know it's VCU. I know it's on the road, but I do believe in Frank Martin. He's been very good in spots like this at South Carolina. That is a lot, even though it's VCU. I am going with UMass getting the points here. Now, Noah Fernandez, their star guard, did travel. He got on the plane. I checked that this morning. So him being there is a huge, huge difference. VCU beat Davidson. Big win, 17. Loyola Chicago. Big win over Dayton. Of course, 1 point on the road. Give me a little bit of a letdown spot here against a UMass team that's going to defend, that's going to play hard. They had a good win over Rhode Island. They're very up and down, UMass, but I just think 8 is way too much. And I think with Fernandez, who made the trip, who is traveling, I expect him to be at full strength. Wildens Levesque is back. Isaac Conte inside should be strong as well. Give me UMass +8 against VCU. I think this is a bad spot for BC. We've talked about fading BC. They're now going on the road to North Carolina. I am not a North Carolina guy. However, I have seen signs Armando Bacot did play, and he was improved. I don't think BC has any answers here. I think North Carolina is going to get their tempo and run away and hide. They had a good win over Louisville, 21 points. Virginia, they played tough away. Bacot went out of that game. They still made threes. They shot very well. They're starting to get their tempo. They're starting to get hot again here. Here comes BC, lost to Duke at home by 1, lost to Miami away by 16, lost to Wake Forest at home by 22. Why all of a sudden would they get it together? They are leaking. They are not playing well. 28% from three-point range on offense, terrible. 38% allowed from three-point range. That's terrible. North Carolina has struggled from 3. You know what the magic potion is? Earl Grant and Boston College. I am laying the big number with North Carolina. I do not see Boston College controlling this pace. I think North Carolina continues off of Louisville, and maybe they get on a little bit of a run here. They have a tremendous amount of talent. Backcourt, Caleb Love, fantastic. RJ Davis, Bacot inside, still one of the best big men in the country. Too much firepower for BC. How about like a 6-7 point halftime lead that just gets to 18 really, really quick? UNC -15.5 against Boston College. Make sure to get those questions in if you have them coming. Just talked about it, Adam. Shaky UNC laying 14 to BC. I am laying it, as I just said. No problem with that. I just don't trust Boston College. Colby's got some comments here. I like in UMass today, 10.5 look-ahead spot for VCU, which is Richmond. Yes, great point here as well. I like UMass. It's up to 10.5. This is off of last game. The fact that you've had a UMass team that is up and down. You had a VCU team with a big one over Dayton. I think it's too many. I've seen Fernandez control. You're going to have a good defensive battle. They're going to play well under Frank Martin. He's going to have a good game plan. And if Fernandez starts and is healthy, he can break that press and he doesn't turn the ball over a lot. I think this is a close game. I like them there. All right, just a couple more and we'll get going. Folks, Clemson's going to lose some point. Listen, maybe I'm a guy who just doesn't believe in Clemson, but Clemson has been playing with house money. The thing I want to point out about Clemson is, yes, they've been fantastic. They are 7-0. They're the only undefeated team of the ACC. They have the nation's 10th longest winning streak at 7 games. And right now, they are not just 1, but 2 games clear. They are 2 games ahead of Miami and 2.5 ahead of Virginia, Pittsburgh, and Wake. I just don't think Clemson is that good. They're going on the road here. You have a 15-3 Clemson team, undefeated on the road against Wake Forest, and they are an underdog. And I think they're underdog for a reason. This Wake Forest team at home has been fantastic. They beat Duke by 11. Never, that was not even close. Duke was never even in that game. They beat Florida State at home by 15, shot well. They just lit Boston College up. Their offense is flying high, 38% from three-point range, 54% from inside the arc. I think Clemson's going to have a bad one at some point, and I think it's coming right now. You're going to see, can Clemson get through the window here? They're going to have to rebound. They're going to have to play tough. I just think this is a bad spot for them, and I don't believe in Clemson. Come at me tomorrow if I'm wrong. At Randle Rand, come here to FTN Discord and let me know. I am fading Clemson at Wake Forest there. Late 9 game, definitely worth talking about. Utah State at home. No Rylan Jones in this game, but it hasn't really mattered. Utah State at home is very, very tough. They've really only had a couple issues this year where they haven't played well, but overall in the Mountain West, they've been very good. That's Ryan Odom there. Remember, Ryan Odom, UMBC, the historic upset over Virginia a couple of years ago, has now been for 2 years at Utah State. Utah State played Nevada. That game got away from them, but at home, they are lethal. Beat Wyoming by 20. Beat Fresno State by 23. They are very good at home. Their only misstep this year was Weber State, which is a rivalry game there in Utah. At home against UNLV. UNLV now going the wrong way, have lost 4 or 5. They're great with the pressure, but Utah State does not turn the ball over. So I don't think they can get many easy chances here. I like Utah State at home. They are the best 3-point shooting team in the country. The Aggies at 41.2%. UNLV not great at guarding the line there. Kevin Kruger, UNLV was good early. When they're home, they can be a problem. They went away at New Mexico, which was a nice win. But since then, lost to Boise at home, lost to Colorado State at home. That is bad news heading in to Utah State. I like them tonight as well. And for the late night, this is close. You know, Boise State has been very, very good. This depends on Marcus Shaver. He's in and out of the lineup. If Marcus Shaver does not play tonight, I would flip on this and go Nevada. So again, not one of my top plays, but Boise State -5 tonight at home has been very good. Leon Rice has this team going yet again. They had 2 missteps. They lost to Nevada away 74-72. So they're going to have payback on their mind tonight. Since then, San Jose State at home, Utah State at home, big win by 23 points. UNLV away, big win by 18 points. Wyoming, big win. Boise State is back to what they do. Leon Rice locking down opponents from under 30% from inside the arc. Great on the defensive boards, one and done. Nevada's going to have to be very efficient, which is not something that they've been lately. They're not super efficient on offense. They do try to limit turnovers, and they try to cause helter-skelter and get some steals and layups. They had a big, big win over Utah State. A little bit of a letdown spot here going against Leon Rice and Boise State. Okay, I think that's it for the comments, folks. Again, give us a like, give us a subscribe. FTN, we have it here. I will be back again tomorrow, so make sure to hit me up on Twitter. Give me the games you want me to talk about. Again, going through our games quickly just to give you a summary. Some people want a summary, no problem. In reverse order, Boise State -5 in a payback spot in Nevada. Belmont -5 against Murray State. I think that they run away and hide there on Murray State, and they shoot the 3 really, really well. Utah State laying the points at home against UNLV. They will shoot well, and UNLV's offense I do not trust. I think Air Force is underrated in the market. I think they're very tough at home, and Wyoming is going the wrong way without their normal personnel. 6 losses in a row. The Clemson run ends tonight in Wake Forest. I like Wake Forest to win that game outright. Texas Tech, people think Texas Tech is going to turn the corner. I do not. I just think it's a bad year for Mark Adams. He had a brilliant year last year. They were fantastic. They're a team without an identity. I like Baylor tonight, a gritty Baylor team. Still a lot of veterans on that team. Still a great freshman in Keontae George. I think they get it done. Laying the points with UNC against Boston College. I just think Boston College can handle it at all. I just don't. UMass now, we just heard in the chat, this is up to 10 points. I will take them. Fernandez made the trip. I think he plays. If Fernandez does not play, it's a close play to me. Maybe get a couple extra points of value, but right now I am taking UMass with those points. Notre Dame -5.5 against Florida State. Florida State terrible at defending the threes. The only hope they had was Baba Miller coming back and making a contribution, and he's not. So Notre Dame -5.5 at home. This one is not one of my top plays. I think Creighton gets it done tonight, but 7 is a lot of points on the road. Just be careful with that one. Make sure everybody is healthy. If you have to make a pick here, I'm going with Mississippi State at home, but be careful because we have Jekyll and Hyde. This could be a blowout performance by Tennessee, or it could be a back and forth game. It's almost when you want to maybe hit the live line to see how the game starts here. But laying 5 or 6.5, I'm going to start with the home team getting the points. You have to convince me otherwise. Don't like Davidson. Haven't liked Davidson. Angry Dayton team at home off VCU loss. I will lay those points. Be careful with this. This is Tulane's season. Tulane has always struggled with Houston because they don't battle inside. They're not great on the boards. They like to shoot from the outside. A little bit of a finesse team. But with all the minutes continuity and everyone coming back, we will take Tulane here with a 9.5. And I don't get this line. You can show it to me. Iowa State -2.5. I know Texas matches up well, but I am laying the points here. It's actually down to 1.5. You got some reverse line movement, but trust your handicapping. Bill, keep it going, Mr. Self. Show me on the road in these spots. You have been historically great. You have been 57% against the spread in conference in these spots, and you have won the last 3 and covered for me. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Kansas State, 3 overtime wins, regression monster coming. And this one also, I don't know why Ole Miss is favored on the road by 6.5 against South Carolina. I don't trust them. I love Kermit Davis, but things are going the wrong way. Gamecocks have been competitive in their first year here with Lamont Paris. They beat Clemson at home. Yes, the aforementioned Clemson. South Carolina beat them at home. Rebels 0-5 in the SEC, 5-10-2 against the spread, and they're 0-3 on the road. South Carolina, despite their poor record, has been battling. Ole Miss hasn't covered in 7 of the last 8. The only cover was Tennessee, which could be very helter-skelter, as we said. So here we go. Gamecocks plus 6.5 against Ole Miss is where we're going. Folks, thank you so much for joining us. Always appreciate your support. Give us a like, subscribe at Randle Rand. Let me know what you think. And we will be back again tomorrow at noon with more plays, folks. Thank you so much for joining us. We will see you tomorrow.